What up, perps? Kid Copious back in the bunker. Purple State Party. You know what we're doing here, man. We're trying to rep the America, the center, common sense, and as always, keep on popping in the free world. Yeah, because that's what we're about. We're about freedom. First and foremost. That's the bedrock upon which our country was built. For better or worse, that's what we've always strived for. Freedom. So, I'm going to start off on a little mini rant. I kind of went on this last week, and I thought I'd touch on it again. The scourge of fentanyl and synthetic opioids. And, to a lesser degree, we'll get to it at a different time. The new meth, which is also coming out of China, coming here via the Mexican cartels. One of the reasons why fentanyl is a sore subject for me, I guess, or something I pay a lot of attention to, is because back in the days, man, I was a drug fiend. People used to they'd complain about how much coke I could put up my nose, man. They'd be getting sick, and there I was, snorting and popping and doing whatever else I could get my hands on, man. Nowadays, I'd probably be smoking Adderall, But fentanyl would have gotten me. It would have killed me. I never would have made it. I mean, I was an excessive person. I didn't know I had depression. I didn't know I had anxiety. I just, back in the day, I just had problems. I was a problem person. A good example, I went to a concert, and it was The Who, and I literally, and no exaggeration here, folks, I downed an entire pint of Southern Comfort. One gulp. Okay? I ended up puking all over the people in front of me. I ended up puking all over the people in the bathroom. And my then girlfriend, sort of a new girlfriend, in fact, had to drag me out to the car and just sit with me until the rest of the party came back because, well, we only had one car and there were four of us in total. Two got to see the show. Two of us sat out in the car. But, the only reason I ever got sober was because that girlfriend, who is now my wife, this is a girl that stood by me since 1989. And I tried really hard to get rid of her. Between the meth and the alcohol, man, I tried everything. But she stood by my side, and eventually, for, using her sort of as the motivation, I managed to clean up my act. But if fentanyl had been on the scene, I never would have gotten there. I would have been dead. I would have popped Percocet, Adderall, ecstasy. I would have done all that shit, man. You hand it to me, it's in my mouth. It's gone. It's ingested. And if there was fentanyl in there, I would have done a shit ton. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how Narcan works and don't have any experience with it myself, but I'm willing to bet that even Narcan couldn't have saved me. But our state, California, and our country, the Democrats, the liberals, the left-wingers, they want to tell me that I can't have a bayonet on my rifle. I can't have a pistol grip. I can't have a front hand grip. I can only have 10 rounds. They're now forcing manufacturers to make non-detachable magazines. And in 2020, about 20,000 people died from guns. It's like 19,200 something, right? I'm not great with percentages, but about 43% of the gun deaths were not suicide, not police shootings, not defensive shootings, because people get shot when they deserve it. That's the truth. Suicide, you can take away the gun, but you're not going to take away the suicide. Okay, so about 20,000 people died in 2020. Right now, we have over 100,000 people who have died in the last 365 days. 100,000 people from opioids. And a majority of that, an overwhelming majority of that, is fentanyl. And we're not doing anything about it. I'm a big soccer fan. In soccer, if a player commits a really bad foul, they get a yellow card. Okay? If they get a second yellow card, it turns to a red card. And now they're kicked out of the game and they're suspended for the next game. We need that kind of stuff when it comes to something as insidious as fentanyl. Something that could just hide in plain sight and take out casual users. People who weren't even doing fentanyl. can die from fentanyl. That's fucking scary, man. That is scary. And that doesn't have anything to do with society or armed guards, or there's nothing you can do to protect these people. A girl goes to a club and somebody says, hey, you want some ecstasy? And she's like, nah, I guess I'll try it. And it's laced with enough fentanyl to kill her. Look at this picture. This picture right here is showing you how much fentanyl can kill almost half of America. Man, I could do that amount of cocaine in a weekend. Well, maybe with a few friends. That amount of weed, 300 grams, wouldn't last me very many days. And you know how many people, if you were to smoke all of that, if that was weed, 300 grams, nobody would die. People just would get baked off their asses and they'd all survive. But that amount of fentanyl, that's what we're facing. And that's what we're facing primarily because of our desire to protect China and our desire to have an open border. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's get this show on the road. All right. So, can you kick it off explaining the title, No One F's with Purple? Pretty simple. Biden was caught on hot mic basically saying nobody F's with the Bidens or with Biden. Yeah. I don't know. Who cares? Nothing burger. Don't care. But it was a good title. Really bugs me when chumps who fled the Soviet Union, Cuba, China, Venezuela, and North Korea think they know more about socialism than a 28-year-old 10th-year undergrad in gender studies from Santa Fe with a verified Twitter account. Well, that about sums it up, don't it? That's going to sum up a few different things we're going to cover here, you know? It really is. But, yeah, that's the world we live in, you know? People who have lived under actual socialism, you know, they have no opinion compared to somebody who's studied it. Oh, God. Biden, I pledge $11 billion a year to help poor countries fight climate change. The poor countries are going to be contributing to climate change in a much major way. We need to face facts, you know. One thing I try to be here is some sort of truth animal, you know. I don't want to sit here and say that, you know, as America goes green, these other countries are going to go green. No, a lot of countries are going to ramp up gas production so that more and more of their citizens can have cars. Fair enough. They're going to ramp up coal-producing electrical plants. Why? Because their people deserve electricity. As we move away from certain things, it's going to get cheaper for other countries to use it. But, you know, we need to worry about ourselves. We have an open border that is a catastrophe, that is leading to a lot of unnecessary death and destruction. There are ways of getting immigrants here that doesn't involve these people having to wade through dangerous jungles, oppressive heat. And then when they get here, what are they going to do? What are we going to offer them? We don't have a plan in place. It's just open the door, let everybody come in and deal with it. Did you ever have a house party when you were a kid? You know, you invite a few friends who would invite a few friends who would invite a few friends. And the next thing you know, you realize, oh crap, I should have locked my bedroom door. I should have locked my parents' door because shit's going missing. Shit's getting destroyed. Well, that's the same sort of juvenile bullshit that we have at the border right now. This line, a movie targeting 2% of Americans fails at box office. Look, I'm not going to get in, you know, I'm fine with it, man. Like, what was that one? Love, Simon? I watched that. It was fine. You know, I'm not much into rom-coms, gay or straight. So I'm not going to see Bros, but, you know, I'm not going to poke fun at it because of its subject matter. It's just, you know, it's ridiculous. If you write a movie that only appeals to a certain amount of people, you can't expect the same box office. I mean, that's the same thing that affects just about every minority group in America when it comes to television and movies. You know, you're not going to have a wide audience. That's just the way it is. We're close to nuclear Armageddon, warns president who keeps fighting proxy war with nuclear armed country. Yeah, you know what? I'm on a different side than Republicans on this one, you know. I grew up with the threat of nuclear war in the 80s. I know what that was like. I remember the fear that we felt, and we're back to it. But we're not back to it because of Biden. We're back to it because of Putin. That's the pure and simple fact. Putin is the one who invaded. That's it. But having this guy in charge does not fill me with any confidence. You know, I got to sit through the Iranians taking hostages when Jimmy Carter was too weak to do anything. Yeah, you know. But here we are blaming Putin. And meanwhile, look at China walking off with stolen U.S. tech and U.S. land grab deeds. You know, this is what I was talking about. You know, Russia is not supplying the Mexican cartels with fentanyl and the new meth. You know, Putin's really not doing anything that really directly affects us. But for the good of the world, we have to defend Ukraine. We have no choice. You know, Roger Waters at his concert recently labeled Biden a war criminal. And I take exception at that because, you know, it's not his fault. Bottom line, it's not his fault. You know, no matter what you want to say, it's not his fault. Oh boy, here you go. Hurricane Ian has turned electric vehicles into ticking time bombs. Look, there's a big problem with batteries. When batteries corrode for whatever reason, they begin a chemical reaction that can start a fire. And then they self-fuel the fire. And it's not the same, you know. That tactic that they're using right there of coming through the top, that's what you do for a gas fire, you know, because it doesn't work that way with burning metals. And, you know, takes a different style of extinguishing material. If you really want to know more about it, you know, look at your fire extinguishers that you have around you. They're ABC. Okay, they're wood, paper, and they're fine around electrical because they don't conduct anything. But then you have this thing called a D, and that's for molten metals. It needs to surround the metal. That's kind of the way it works. You know, we have different extinguishers for that. There's a K class. That's more of a liquid. You would use that in a fryer. Not all fires are the same, but these are going to be dangerous, and putting more of these on the road I do not think is the answer. Oh, God. Seriously, George Soros is running. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Hillary Clinton up there. You know, she's looking a little melty face, isn't she? She's coming back. Wow. Okay, well, we've proven one thing so far. If we look at a lot of the representatives and blah, blah, blahs that are in Washington, D.C. right now, young Democrats are horrible. But what's even worse is boomers trying to appease young liberals. That party is somewhat doomed. I believe firmly that young Republicans may have some answers. They may see the world differently enough that they can combine the two into something that's, you know, seems a little more purple. But melty face here, oh man, yeah. So yeah, California students learned no math in 2 years, yet Gavin Newsom wants to be president. So they were trying to hold off on releasing the test scores for California because Gavin knew he was going to take a giant hit on that. He shut down all the schools, even though, in retrospect, there really was no imminent danger. Some people would have gotten sick. There would have been some deaths, you know. But you can't avoid death. Death is a constant. It's like taxes. And, you know, it's a failure. The 8th graders, standardized test scores, have math scores in line with the knowledge and skills of 5th graders. 5th graders. Already in 8th grade. Now, I understand. We can make the argument, oh, math. You're not going to use that in real life. Well, you might. Might use some of it. But California is failing in education. And yet, as we're going to see at the end here, they want us to think that we have other priorities. This is the same California that was given an award for state innovation. As it turns out, the state is a pioneer in failing to teach its students anything useful at all over a period of 2 years. Fear. That's what it was. Fear. Gavin bowed to the unions. The teachers obviously didn't really want to teach kids because they went along with the union. Yeah. These are things we need to look at. We can't allow ourselves to be distracted by transgender surgeries for children, abortions, gun control, homelessness. See, those are big problems. Sorry about that. Those are big problems, and they need to be tackled. But we have other problems, and some of these problems are what leads to the other problems. You know, you want to talk about generations in crisis. Kids in California are in that crisis because they are not being encouraged to succeed. They're being manipulated into success as long at the elementary and the grade school level. California passes a lot of laws or has ideas about wanting a higher rate of graduation. And this is what it turns into. Sure, they graduated, but they're stupid. And this sums up sort of what's going on, in California. The America as a whole is more concerned about changing the names of sports teams, removing monuments, and debating biological gender rather than ensuring that kids in school can read and write. Progress, yeah. That's what it is. You want to worry all about these social changes, these climate changes, all of this shit. But at the end of the day, you are not getting kids ready for real life. We as a society are failing our kids. We are. And we're allowing the internet to be this giant vacuum of hopes and dreams. It's just sucking them all up. And I'm not going to blame just the internet, but that is the vehicle by which a lot of these problems are being exacerbated. Gavin Newsom demands answers from whoever's in charge of California. Yeah, this is an old one, but who is in charge? He is, as a dictator. And the Democrats are, as the party of the dictator. The real answer is we are. We, the people, are supposed to be in charge of this shit show. We're supposed to demand that our leaders do things and then hold them accountable when they do or don't. We did not elect Gavin Newsom to make these edicts that we will no longer drive gasoline cars. And look where that's leading us. Oh. Speaking of it, Gavin Newsom just put this out. I'm calling for a special session to address the greed of oil companies. Tax prices are too high. Time to enact a windfall profits tax directly on oil companies that are ripping you off at the pump. After all, that's my job. State of California is taking like 50 cents a gallon. That's more than the gas station operators are making. Yeah. He's going to go after the gas companies. So what are they going to do? They'll just raise their prices even more, pay the windfall tax, and they'll still be making the same profit margin. That's what businesses do, folks. And when, a good example of this is, I don't know if all of you will remember this, but there was a day when Hostess, makers of Ding Dongs and Chocolate Dials, was going out of business. And boxes of Twinkies were selling for hundreds of dollars on eBay until a company bought them and brought them back. But I tangent all the time, don't I? That was the secondary market. Now it's the primary market. You are telling gas companies, I am going to make it more expensive for you to operate in California. I am going to demand that you make special gasoline for California. And by the way, after you've made that investment in the refineries so that you can make our special gasoline, I'm going to tell you to piss off in 2035. So what are the gas companies going to do? They're going to make as much money as they can off California right now. Because that's what you're telling them. Whether or not gasoline is phased out, you're telling them that there won't be gas blowers. There won't be gas generators. There won't be gas cars. There won't be diesel semis. You're telling the oil companies, make your money now because the gravy train ends soon. That's what you're telling them. And then you're surprised when they raise prices. And that's what Biden has been doing. That's what the Democrats have been doing. Talking about, oh yeah, sure, go ahead and invest in oil wells to produce oil, but we may shut you down in a day or two. So why invest the money? Look at all the money that was invested in the Keystone Pipeline. That's all gone. All those jobs that people thought were coming, gone. So yeah, they're going to turn around and they're going to raise prices because they've got to make money. That's how an economy works. You think the people out there who think that socialism is going to work, who's going to produce our gas if they're not making any money? You know, here's his special session thing. Some details on it, you know. But, you know, in the early days, you know, when the gasoline engine first arrived and they first started making cars, Henry Ford came up with the assembly line and started making it cheaper. Okay? Car manufacturers started making cars. Gas stations started opening up to meet the demands of the consumers. What we're doing now is we are insisting on electric vehicles, and we are insisting on putting up charging stations. We're not allowing the market to drive it. And that's where they're making their big mistake. Little hope on, you know, the horizon. Sweden, a leftist nation, just voted for a center-right government. And Italy, same thing. They've been governed by the left for ages, just voted for a central-right coalition. I'm not 100% sure they're center-right. They seem a little more extreme than that, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know too much about exactly what they can and can't do over there, but they do have definitely a right-leaning party. And now California is next up. Now let's see, because California is populated by smart people that are dumb. Sharon Osbourne wants her $900,000 donation back after Kanye West calls out Black Lives Matter as a scam. We know it is. I mean, these people are words, not deeds. That's really what they are. They've literally ripped off their own, you know, their own party or their own group. And I've found a few of these floating around this morning, and I was just like, wow, this is, yeah. Unfortunately, it is just words printed on a T-shirt designed to rile up support for the Democrats at the right time. That's really what it comes down to. And, you know, their statement here, black people continue to be murdered, mistreated, beaten, and broken down by a deeply rooted white supremacist agenda. Okay, we can rephrase that and make it a little bit better. Make it apply to more people. Shall we do that? Let's try. A little magic. People continue to be murdered, mistreated, beaten, and broken down by a deeply rooted elitist agenda. Wow. Boom. Fixed it for you. Yeah, you're welcome. This one was interesting. El Paso, Democrat-led border town, has sent more migrant buses to New York and Chicago than a campaign by Texas Republican governor. A twist in an ongoing partisan battle over U.S. border security. The reason I highlight this is you can see here, the dude, what's his name, Leister, he coordinated with the Democratic mayors. And that might be part of the issue here. Was it the Democrats saying, oh, yeah, we'll take your buses because you're one of us? Or is it that the Republicans are just trying to do it sneaky? I don't know. But quite frankly, the purple answer to this is it should be coordinated. I love it. They sent a bus out front of Kamala Harris's house. Several buses actually did. Dropped them outside of her residence. But, you know, it's not really her house. It's a naval observatory. You know, I'm sure there's some resources there. But when you talk about these Democratic sanctuary jurisdictions, they need to share the burden. They're not going to play by the rules. So then, you know, they're going to have to suffer. Whew. But the real reason I brought this up was the coordination. If we are going to allow this, where's the plan? Where is some coordination? You can't expect all of Texas to just absorb it, or all of Arizona to just absorb 2-point-something million people that have come in. They're not set up for that. Their local economy can't handle that. Their local housing market certainly can't handle that. So I've spread them around. And oddly enough, a lot of these people coming in are from the group known as Hispanics, and they are rejecting the Democrats. Now, there's a lot of argument about what's really going on there. Are they really rejecting blah, 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 blah? I don't really care about the numbers. What I care about is that their policies, this is a Republican from Florida, Diaz Balart, their policies have been hurting Hispanics particularly bad, specifically due to the economic shutdowns due to the coronavirus pandemic and the soft on crime approaches. The reality is Hispanics are out there doing the jobs that normal Americans do. Working class and middle class Americans that can't do these jobs from Zoom, they don't tend to live in secluded, closed off, gated communities. You know? They have private security. Hispanics coming here from places like Venezuela don't want to see more socialism. It's not why they're coming here. That's not real life, and that's not working and middle class Americans, which are what most Hispanics are. That's something that the people on the right need to remember. These people are coming over here, for the most part, to embody the American way. Meanwhile, our colleges are spewing out a bunch of commies. So, who does Purple State welcome? I welcome these people, but not the way we're going about it. Republican Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, that's exactly what we've done in Miami. Follow the simple conservative principles of keeping taxes low, keeping criminality rates low, and being open to innovation to create high-paying jobs and a high quality of life. Those conservative principles resonate with everyone, including the Hispanic community. And that's purple. Right there. If we could just stick to those things and not worry about all the other fluff, like abortion or gender reassignment, if we could focus in on those things, we could have a better country. So Hunter Biden, man, look at this guy. You know, like a true liberal, his parents just continually bailed him out, gave him more money, but never forced him to face the consequences of his actions. I hope he does get in trouble. I hope he gets in trouble for tax evasion and lying on a gun application. Because you damn well know that if you or I lied on a gun application, we would be in a lot of trouble. And what is their response? The lawyer for Hunter Biden is a federal felony for a federal agent to leak information about a grand jury investigation. Right, that's not the point, buddy. The point is that the president's son is a malcontent. He lied on paperwork linked to a gun purchase in 2018. You know, one of the cornerstones of the Democratic Party, gun control, and this fuckwad lies on a gun application. The media should be all over this. We should have reenactments and color charts and graphs and visuals and interviews with people on the streets. Because this is just wrong. It'll probably get swept under the rug. But this won't. Hundreds of election deniers. Oh my God, election deniers. Oh, look at this guy. Wow. He continued to argue without providing evidence that some votes were outside the law. If people did fraudulent shit on their ballot, how are we going to have evidence of that? Unless we look at every single fucking ballot, we're not going to do that. And by the way, folks, who gives a fuck? That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. You know, they want to say that fentanyl and street crime are Republican talking points. No, I think those are the talking points of everybody. But the 2020 election, that's just a Democratic talking point now. Woke mob smashes windows of Portland coffee shop to protest cop event. Yeah, because it's going so well. This is a great little piece on just how bad far left politics really are. This is a coffee shop owned by a Native American woman who is simply having a coffee with a cop event to allow the community to meet and discuss their issues with the police. You know? But This one, defund the police movement, spread across the nation in 2020, particularly in the whitest city in America. Police officers have quit in droves. And you know what? You know why it's important that it's the whitest city? Because white people are the only people who can have white guilt. Yeah, that's right. Because you know what? Hispanics don't feel guilty for achieving in life. Asians don't feel guilty for achieving in life. You want to know something else? Purple people don't feel guilty for achieving in life. I know I had some advantages, but my advantages weren't the color of my skin. The advantages were money, common sense, friends who are lawyers. Yes, maybe those are the things that come along with being white, but that's not the way it worked for me, folks. If you grow up in an all-white town, the police will still find somebody they don't like. And that individual is me. Not myself only, but people like me. Punks. Punkers. Punk rockers. Yeah. Antisocial people who wanted to smoke pot in the park. Yeah. 230 police officers have left their posts. That's not a safe city, folks. They now have one of the most deserted downtowns in the United States, as soaring crime rates and the epidemic of homelessness are scaring away both locals and tourists. The crisis is now spreading to the suburbs. This is the Democratic plan for America. No consequences for your bad actions. The only people who the Democrats will hold accountable are Republicans. Period. End of sentence. I bring this one up. I'm sort of, I can see the logic of red flag laws, okay? But I'm bringing this up because, excuse me, this is more about how the media manipulates people, okay? That's really what this is about, media manipulation. So they interviewed 1,000 people. 58% of those people supported red flag laws when told that the primary purpose is to allow judges to take away a person's gun based on a single complaint when there is a concern that that individual may commit suicide. Okay? So almost 60% of the people say, yes, take the guns away from the suicidal person. It'll make it maybe a little bit harder. It'll make it much harder for them to take somebody else with them. So that's a good idea. But was that the truth? No. When respondents were told that there were no hearings where a defendant presents their case to a judge before their gun rights are taken away and mental health experts are not involved, the 58% support drops down to 30% with 47% opposing. And there's that 30%. There's always going to be that 20 to 30% who support bad ideas because their team supports it. So you have the brave individuals who can step away from it and say, yes, you know, Biden is for this, but I think it's a stupid idea. It's the way it used to work. Data shows that the strongest support for red flag laws came from, surprise, Democrats, the wealthy, the black and Hispanic communities, and people aged 18 to 29. Right, okay. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with that, other than the fact that, of course, the wealthy don't mind, because the wealthy don't ever have to suffer any consequences for their stupid-ass fucking decisions. There's dumb voting patterns. There's dumb philosophies in life. There's dumb mantras and shit like that. They don't care. They don't care. The homeless are not camping in front of their mansions. And if they are, there's armed guards watching them. Biden pardons thousands for simple possession of marijuana. Wow. Finally. Oh my God. I thought Obama was going to legalize marijuana. I begged Trump to legalize marijuana. I mean, at least, wow. Simple possession. Yeah. Yeah, I had one of those. I had one of those for a stem that the cops found in my wallet. Yeah. It was a pretty juicy stem. I don't know what to do with that. I'm going to move on. NFL fires neurologist after learning his concussion protocol is just to look for cartoon tweeting birds flying around players' heads. This is a tricky one for me. I personally knew a longtime NFL veteran, and I know how he ended his life, and I know what it did to his family, and I don't know. I mean, football is an exciting game, but in recent years it has become very hard to watch. Um, you know, we're playing fast and loose with people's health in the name of entertainment. And it reminds me of how the media nowadays is playing fast and loose with the truth to get clicks, to get views, to get their point across. And it's the same thing. America has a massive fucking concussion right now. And the neurologist is just looking for the cartoon birds. Woman anointed cheeses with oil was actually giving an essential oil sales presentation. Oh, I love that one. I love that one. No one fucks with Biden. There you go. OPEC certainly is. You know, the Democrats blocked Trump from bolstering the strategic oil reserves at $24 a barrel, and now Biden's trying to do it at $80 a barrel. Partisanship is costing us, 50-something dollars a barrel right now. Yeah. Something to think about. The Biden administration does not care about the American people. Permanent Washington loots us to serve the interests of the arms manufacturing global oligarchy while we struggle to pay for rent, gas, and groceries, and our soldiers go on food stamps. That comes from Tulsi. Nice to see her back. Yeah, I mean, the part that I like about this is the permanent Washington. And yeah, it is concerning that we have soldiers going on food stamps because our priorities are to put up charging stations in the middle of nowhere. FBI undercuts number of times armed citizens have thwarted active shooting instances. The Crime Prevention Research Center says there's a pattern of distortion in the FBI numbers. Oh my, says Mr. Kirk. James Tiberius Kirk. Yeah, I mean, again, if the good that guns can do is shown alongside the bad that guns do, then you're looking purple. If it's just going to be one-sided, it's just lies. Woke Hollywood turns another beloved child character gay. Wait, it's Velma. Yeah, sure, whatever, go for it. Yeah, apparently she's come out as a lesbian. Okay. I don't know. If I was a lesbian, I think I'd be a little bit insulted that they're giving us Velma. I don't know. Pressure mounting for Candace Owens to grow a beard. Yeah, she looks happy. I miss her. I really used to like her a lot, but again, if you're just gonna pander to the extreme right, I don't know. It's not purple. I just don't. I don't think she's purple. I think being a black Republican does not mean you're purple. And beautiful woman. I don't think the beard would help. It's certainly not helping those two dweebs. Open borders, let them pick crops. I had to include this. Nancy Pelosi reminding us that the Democrats are the biggest racists of all. I see dead people. Biden's teleprompter got unplugged. Yeah, he really just does go off script, doesn't he? That was kind of what I liked about Trump. You never knew what he was going to fucking say. And it was kind of entertaining in a wrestling WWE type of way. WWF, excuse me. Fuck those panda people. But Biden's just terrifying. Huh? What? That's the last one. Okay. That was the best of the week, eh? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I may have put him in the wrong order there. I'm thinking the essential oils joke should have been the closer. I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And I'll see you in a sec. I'm back. Being the erratic son of a bitch that I am. There were a couple things that I forgot. 2 things. Look at that. I know 2. I'm doing better than most eighth graders in California's education system. Number one, first of all, Gavin Newsom is going to send us some rebates. He's saying they're gas rebates, that he's getting the money back from the evil oil companies. Oh, super Gavin. And I'll tell you something, Gavin. I'm going to cash that check, but I'm not casting the vote. Not voting for you, buddy. Okay? It's your policies. It's your words. It's your vision of the future that has fucked up gas prices in California. You and your party. Okay? Second, Herschel Walker. I liked Herschel. You know, I thought he was okay. But then you open your mouth. You start running your mouth, you know, about abortion. Okay? And you want to outlaw abortion. That's one of those subjects to me that we don't need to be discussing. It was fine the way it was. The Supreme Court got involved, overturned it on this technicality about what the states and the government can do and blah, 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 blah. Horrible decision. But you know what, Herschel? You brought it up, and now you're going to reap what you sow. Okay? You're not purple. Again, just because you're a black Republican does not make you purple. If you want to come out and you want to soapbox about abortion, or to the other side, the anti-abortion or what? It's just so maddening to me. But if that's what you want to campaign on, fuck you, buddy. Okay? You're going to lose anyhow, because it turns out you're somewhat of a dick and adult. So, you know, just wanted to clear that up. You know, try to be balanced here. I know that the media, Fox News, CNBC, CNN, local news, I get it. Okay? The way to make the dollar bills, y'all, is to be one-sided. To pick a side and go after that side. That's not me. So, Gavin, fuck you. Herschel, fuck you. Okay, remember those two things. I'm going to close with this. Proposition 27. Proposition 27 is being billed as the fund to combat homelessness. The truth of the matter is, and the problem that I have with it is that what it does is it legalizes online gambling. In other words, you can gamble away your paycheck from the privacy of your own phone. Fine. If people want to do that, look, I spent many a years posting bets for people. I'm super fast on the computer. I could take a lot of input. So I would post those horse racing bets. I would post those sports bets, those halftime bets, those live prop bets. Blam, blam, blam. Okay? I've been around gambling. I know a guy who in April won $11,000 in Vegas. And I said, holy shit. He's like, yeah, but I'm still down for the year. I know about the pitfalls of gambling. So far, but fine. If it wants to be legalized, it wants to be legalized. But it's a lie. And it's one of the things that if I were in charge, I would change. You have to name a bill what it is, okay? No more of this Inflation Reduction Act shit. And the bill can only contain what the bill says it contains. You can't hide a bunch of shit in there. Inflation Reduction Act, but it's going to build chargers in the middle of nowhere. No. Chargers in the middle of nowhere should be the name of that bill. This bill is being sold as to end homelessness. The problem with homelessness is until we, as a society, can just say it, there are homeless people and there are bums. That's what it is. There are people who have made a choice to live on the streets. Those are the people who are being given free drug supplies, free Narcan, free syringes. We're not trying to make it difficult. We've decriminalized it. The police don't bust the dealers. When we bust the dealers, like we had a fentanyl bust, we let the dealers go with no bail, so no bail bondsman to chase them down, and they disappear. They set up shop somewhere else. If we're going to combat homelessness, it's not about building houses, because that's the scam here in America, in California. They build houses, bunch of rules and regulations, fees and fines and shit, and then pretty soon they say, yeah, you know what? We're going to have to pay a penalty because we can't do the low income. How are you going to make low income housing in the most expensive real estate market in the country, if not close to the world? We may even be. California may be the most expensive in the world. I guess I could look it up. I'll look it up, and if I find something, maybe I'll put it down here. Okay? That's what I'll do, because I forgot to look it up, because I'm erratic. Yeah. We need to expand conservatorship. We need to start picking people up off the streets and either get them into a mental health conservatorship where they get help and retraining and wraparound services that will help them reintegrate into society, reunite them with their families. For the drug addicts that are out there, we need to start popping them for possession, for anything and everything we can get them on. Get them in the system. And then, if you don't like prisons, let's build lockdown rehabilitation centers. Job training. Teach these guys how to drive a forklift. We, especially here in California, we need a shit ton of operators down at the docks and at the logistics companies. You know, companies go to the port, they pick up the cargo, they take it back to their warehouse, they break it down, and they get it ready for distribution. We need people to do that. We need to be training people on computers and computer systems and inventory control systems, food safety and prep. We could be training people while we rehabilitate them. I am nothing more than an average American citizen. And that's my idea. Where is the government's idea? If you don't want to incarcerate them, conservatorship and lockdown rehab. Look, if we could fix these people, they can move back home. They won't have to try to afford housing in California because they can go back to their families, wherever their families may be from. And the ones that do stay in California will at least have some job training, some life training, some sobriety training. I know. I've been down that road. I work with a guy who's been down that road. We're struggling day in and day out to keep our fucking sanity. And to look over at the government who's saying, no, go ahead, do your drugs, live on the streets, do whatever you want. That same guy brought up a real interesting one about how there were some animal rights activists who stormed the Rams game, and one of the activists, while carrying a pink flare, was tackled by the Rams, and he is now filing charges. That's the world we live in now, where illegal immigrants can come to America and sue the governor of the state. This nicey shit doesn't work. And if we're ever going to solve homelessness, it's not going to be through online gambling. Online gambling, more than likely, will put more people on the streets because they'll blow their rent money. Like I said, I'm just an average American. I'm just trying to put my ideas out there. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State. And so are you. Love you all. Thank you for your support. Let me know what topics I can cover down below. Peace, y'all. Dollar bills.